today. So after the success of Aliens Book 1, an entire series of comics and novels was born. Really, the comics comprise the bulk of the Alien series, as they far outstrip both the novels and the movies. And really, there is one common theme in that series, and that is darkness. Every Alien story is really quite dark, with usually all the main characters dying at the end. Well, some do survive, like in this one. But really, death, destruction, and despondency will be found within the Aliens series. Now, the book we're going to be taking a look at today is the very second in the Alien series, and that is Aliens Nightmare Asylum. Now, since the comic is pretty much identical to this book, I'm going to be using panels from it to illustrate what's going on. So now, let's take a closer look at the cover for Aliens Book 2, Nightmare Asylum. The cover for the book looks good. We see a xenomorph ripping its way through an industrial environment. The xenomorph itself has some really nice detail. You can see individual scratches on its head, and you can see the individual ridges on its arms. Also, the quote on the cover is poignant, as it says, "In space, there is nowhere left to hide." The quote on the back also works, as it foreshadows the plot, as it says that the aliens cannot be tamed. Overall, the cover does a nice job of enticing one to read the book, and it would also probably work well as a standalone picture as well. The book starts up immediately after the one previous. We have Hicks, Newt, and the half-an-android Bueller on the retrofitted cargo hauler named the American. Basically, they're just waiting to go somewhere. They don't really know where they are, and they have no real way of finding out. And to pass the time, they watch TV, and Game of Thrones Season 200 has been cancelled due to the xenomorph infestation. Basically, all that Hicks and Newt do is watch scenes of people dying. It is, of course, brought up in the course of the book that they really don't know how simple EM transmissions are getting light years out from Earth in such a short period of time. Perhaps some TV executive thought that it might boost ratings? Survivor! Alien Edition! Yeah, I still wouldn't watch it. We get some action pretty fast as the Xenos decide to attack, and Hicks and Newt are only armed with a pulse rifle with 5 rounds and a pistol. They are able to kill one, but 2 are blown out the airlock, so Newt suits up and takes the fight outside, and she does a good job of fighting the 2. After the battle, they conveniently arrive at the unknown destination. It's a military base built on a small moon. When they arrive, they are met by the commander of the base named Spears. And from the get-go, you know he is evil, as he says, "You bastards, you have damaged my specimens. I'll see you hang!" They are, of course, immediately imprisoned, and they are left to rot for some time, until Spears learns that Hicks and Newt are the foremost experts on xenomorphs. He has them released, well, sort of, and he has them take a meal with him. And why? Does every villain have binders on their chairs? How, I ask, can they explain that away to guests? And even then, where do you buy those things? In any event, this dinner segment serves to show that Spears is completely Cobra Commander insane. We're so frail, so weak compared to them. They have the strength and power of true soldiers. They demonstrate unquestioning, unswerving loyalty to their cause. All they lack is proper direction. Leadership. I can provide that. I can make them into an army. I can use them to reclaim Earth from their brethren. The meal is interrupted by an announcement that a contingent of soldiers has actually grown a brain and have left General Megatron and have made for a civilian installation located some distance from the military base. They arrive only to find that it has been wiped out by the xenomorphs that, of course, Cobra Commander released. The AWOL Marines are, of course, quickly terminated by the Xenos, sans one. And somehow, I don't know how, Spears was able to get to the civilian base just slightly after the Rebel Marines did, and of course, as all Cobra Commanders do, he gloats a bit, saying that humans are weak and aliens are superior.
Such is the fate of all who oppose me!
And then, something completely creepy and completely unnecessary happens. After the Rebel Marine massacre, we see Spears hugging an alien egg. That is creepy enough. But in the book, we get a flashback to Spears' early days. Apparently, he was grown in an artificial womb and was basically slated to be a soldier since birth. But we eventually get to learn all about Spears' first sexual encounter. Steve, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to tell me about that? I do not, with as many capital letters as necessary, need to know anything about the main villain's first sexual encounter. I don't want to know that. I never wanted to know that. I don't want to know it now. I mean, really, this does not add to his character in any way. It's just disturbing. Beyond all belief. And you know what? It actually gets slightly worse towards the end of the flashback. I might get into that. So moving right along, we eventually learn that Spears is trying to train aliens to become some sort of army. He basically does this by trying to coerce the alien queen by threatening to burn eggs. Now, if this plan wasn't dumb enough, it's mentioned in the book that Spears has tried to teach drones how to shoot guns. For some reason, this horrifies Hicks and Newt, prompting them to say that guns are really the only advantages that humans have. First, this is stupid, for a wide variety of reasons. Aliens obviously don't have weapons tech. They probably don't even know how to even reload. And also, using guns negates all of the aliens' inherent deadliness, because if they're standing there with a gun, they're not wall walking or using stealth or speed. Really? Aliens and guns?
Is the worst idea in the long, sad history of bad ideas.
Thankfully, our heroes finally decide to get the Marines to rebel while Spears is gone. Although why he left in the first place, seeing as how he knew the Marines would all be killed by xenomorphs. Moving on. As Hicks starts to get them organized, one idiot decides to continue supporting Spears, and someone accidentally shoots the glass right in front of the alien queen. And then we get to see a scene that is just epic. I want what's mine! I believe the term is pwned! Although this does raise the question, why was there only a plate glass window between the rest of the humans and the alien hive? I mean, that's some pretty poor security. All the alien queen would have to have done is go whoosh, and there goes the plate glass, and now everybody's dead. And so the Xenos escape and start killing everyone. Unfortunately, there really are not that many epic battles here. It's just simple fighting for survival. Spears is able to get away with his xenomorph soldiers, and Hicks and Newt are able to stow away on a ship as well. Spears, being completely insanely stupid, sabotages the ships with his loyalists. Why? Because he's Cobra Commander. Eventually, nothing really comes to a head. There is no epic final confrontation. The book just sort of ends in a somewhat realistic fashion. What does end up happening is this. Hicks and Newt escape their commandeered ship in an escape pod and head for Gateway Station in Earth orbit. And then Spears, with his alien soldiers, heads down to Earth to try and liberate it. It goes about as well as you would expect. Cobra! And they do nothing. He gets mad and slices an alien's head off, but the queen doesn't care, and slowly, Spears realizes how dumb he actually was, just before he gets his head bit by the alien queen. Head bite. It's like a facepalm, only much more epic. At the end of the book, we have Hicks and Newt meet Ripley. And in the book, it's a fairly decent scene. Although, you have to remember that in the book, she is meeting Wilkes and Billy, not Hicks and Newt. But they are, of course, the exact same characters. The only difference between the book and the comic is in the book, Wilkes and Billy don't know Ripley, and in the comic, Hicks and Newt do. The scene in the book is a simple conversation. Here in the comic, it's way over the top. Just look at that gun. There is no way even a space marine could wield that thing. Why would you ever need that many guns strapped together? That looks like something out of Borderlands. And why does she have it anyway? Are they going to leave, like, right now? No plan? Just shoot up some aliens. Despite this stupid gun, the novel and the comic ends well, and it is awesome that they did bring back Ripley. And now, let's take a closer look at some of the characters. The characters of both Hicks and Newt remain fairly consistent with their portrayal in the previous book, although they have both developed a somewhat defeatist attitude and seem to have incurred some psychological damage, which actually makes sense, due to the fact that every mission they go on incurs a huge loss of life. However, there is one big problem with Newt's character. This could be development, or it could just be bad writing. I don't really know which one it is. And it's how she treats the android Bueller. In the first book, she and Bueller became fairly close, but towards the end of the first book, Bueller gets cut in half, and it's revealed that he's an android, and somehow that caused Newt to get scarred emotionally. But really, in this book, she acts like a complete and total cunt to Bueller. So midway through the book, Bueller tries to apologize to Newt for not telling her that he was a robot. Now you have to remember, he's been cut in half, meaning he's missing the lower portion of his body. Now, what has been used to replace that portion is basically an extremely simple armature, similar to the robot legs on the Railgun Trooper from Quake 2. Basically, Newt's response to Bueller's apology is to ask if there's an armature he can acquire that can simulate another portion of the lower male anatomy. Now, let's take a look at one of the major plot holes in this novel. That major plot hole is using aliens as attack animals. What kind of plan is that? I get that Spears was insane, but still, why would a tamed version of an animal have any advantage over a member of the same species? Furthermore, why give them guns at all? What would the point be? I actually got a comment on my previous Aliens book review that aliens could be used as shock troops, and that's just stupid. They wouldn't work as shock troops because you couldn't control them unless you replace their brains with a computer, and then you get a Xenoborg, and that thing is just extremely slow and nothing more than just a standard weapons platform. I say, why not just create more combat androids or create a bunch of battle suits? Seriously, the entire concept of tamed aliens could only be the plan of an 80s style supervillain. Aliens Nightmare Asylum was a good novel and was a worthy sequel to Aliens Earth Hive. The problem is, this novel was copied way too much. There are so many Aliens comics / novels where two characters, male and female, go to a space station or airless planet / planetoid of some description and have to face down a mad alien scientist. Really, this repeated plot type got really old really fast. Like with Aliens Earth Hive, I do recommend this book. It's got good action and a decent level of creepiness until it steps way over the line. Ugh. I really did not ever need to know that about General Spears, but if you can get past that, it's a really good book. So this is General Otts wishing you good. Aliens Berserker, good. Aliens Rogue, or whatever makes you happy.